the saying, you get what you deserve, and I think we deserve better.
Amen.
What do I know? I'm just a guy.
Yep.
I feel like the news segment people are just like gatekeeping the like good mics.
Yeah.
Probably like.
They're being
Probably.
psyched.
Coming up on the 1-0 Sports Show, we recap Texas baseball's massive 15-game winning streak. We talk about the future of Rodney Terry and UT basketball, and MLB opening day happened yesterday, so we bet we talk about that. All of this and much more coming up on the 1-0 Sports Show.
Texas finally 1-0, finally riding for the brand.
And I'm getting back on my soapbox and saying that if they just hit and rat and drive, then that play doesn't happen.
You heard it here first from Hunter. Book your plane tickets to Omaha today.
But we're not done yet.
No, shot. You're not serious.
Are you kidding me? So that's the third time.
That's terrible. Did you believe this was possible at the beginning of the season?
Oh, I always believe.
Always drink the Kool-Aid.
Hello and welcome to the 1-0 Sports Show. We only got about like 3 or more left in the semester, right, man? It's
Yeah, we're pushing down the last home stretch here.
Hey, there we go. My name is TJ Krilowicz. Alongside me right here is Michael Alvarez. How you doing, Michael?
I'm doing good personally. I can't say the same about our mic situation. That has been quite fanatic, but hopefully we can get through the show this morning.
What is going on with the mics? It just keeps on getting worse every single time, man. It's crazy.
It's a downhill slope.
Well, we got a great show planned out for y'all. We're going to be talking about a lot of sports, but first let's get into our first segment of who's hot, who's not. Michael, who's hot for you?
I think my hot might be a little obvious. I mean, we even touch on it later in the show. I got to go with the Texas Longhorns baseball team. They're on a 15-game win streak. They have they've turned their pitching around. They've had solid bullpen play. They've got the bats gotten hot at the right time. They're number 1 in the Big 12 right now, 3-0 with the sweep on Tech. And then you got to talk about their win over A&M. I mean, that was you got to love that. That was the first time they beat them in I think over 1,500 days. So that felt good. I think that team's really turning around.
Yeah, man, baseball's doing pretty good. 15-game winning streak. They're playing Oklahoma State this weekend. Can't wait for that. It's going to be a tough weekend for them. For me, who's hot? I'm going with the Sacramento Kings. They finally made the playoffs. First time in 17 years, man. Respect. Congratulations. The Kings stand as the number 3 seed in this year's very confusing Western Conference. They already had a star in De'Aaron Fox, but they went and traded for Domantas Sabonis during last season, and they completed the roster with a couple good signings with Malik Monk and Kevin Huerter. Mike Brown has also been a great coach for them. He's helped them with the three-point game. He's helped them with the transition game. Everything about the offense has been a lot better this year. They're number 1 in offense this year in the NBA. And he's also the second Kings coach in the Sacramento era to lead the Kings to 40 wins. I mean, it's only impressive if you're the Kings coach. I mean, any other team, it's not really that impressive, but like, good for him. I mean, congratulations. Light the beam.
Light the beam.
All right, so who's not hot for you?
I think you're not going to like my answer on this one, TJ, but I got to go with the Dallas Mavericks. I mean, prior to the Kyrie trade, they were 6th in the West. They were 3 games above 500.
Yep.
Fast forward to now, they're 3 games below 500. They've dropped out of the play-in. And honestly, I don't know what the problem with the team is at the moment. I think what you can really talk about is the inconsistency of the offensive end and the lackluster defense. I mean, they haven't had a strong defense all year. We've seen that. You know that specifically. But the offense has been up and down with it. I mean, there's some times where they're all hitting, where every shooter Luka and Kyrie are passing to is knocking the shot down. Kyrie's going for 40. Luka's going for 42. But I mean, at this point, the only thing I can think of is because Luka's played with so many great talents. I mean, you added a big man, a unicorn, and you added Kyrie Irving, a star guard. Yeah. At this point, my only question I could think is it Luka's fault? Does Luka need to change his game around to fit around these other stars for them to be successful?
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, you definitely hit the rock on the Mavericks, man. They are awful this year. They've had a lot of. I could go on and on. I could talk hours about it. I'll stop right there. For my who's not hot, I'm going with Patrick Beverly. I know you're gonna like this one, man. Patrick Beverly. So he had a pretty good game against the Los Angeles Lakers a couple days ago at Los Angeles. He decided to taunt the Lakers a little bit. Of course, he got traded by them this trade deadline. He did the little y'all staying thing. He did the too small on LeBron. Yeah, I mean, he didn't even have that good of a game. He had like 10 points. But, you know, that's like his NBA championship for him. But, of course, he forgot that he had to play the Lakers 3 days later. And in that game, ooh, negative 32 on a plus-minus. Worst on the Bulls. Also that 25 minutes, a total goose egg in the points department. 0 points, 0 for 5. And also Austin Reeves did a little taunt back to him with the too small. So
we're going to get into that later, hopefully.
Big loss for Patrick Beverly, man. Come on, you got to back it up. You can't do that. You can't go in one game and talk all that mess and then put up a goose egg in points.
Oh, yeah, you know,
so,
you love to see it.
Yeah. But anyways, I think we both had pretty interesting answers there. But let's move on to what's trending, all right, in the sports world. So right now we got Rodney Terry, okay? So Texas hired Rodney Terry as his head men's basketball coach. What will be the key for him succeeding as a head coach on the 40 acres?
I think it's what he's been doing since he's taken over as head coach. I mean, he won a Big 12 tournament for the second time in 3 years. He took him to the Elite Eight for the first time in over a decade. I mean, if you watched his hiring press conference, the players loved him. They clapped for him. They cheered for him. As you could see up on the board, they love the guy. I mean, he's a player person. He connects well with the players. He's kept the 5-star recruits that Chris Beard was bringing in, and they're still committed to the team. He's working on the #1 recruit of 2024. I mean, if he wants to keep up his success, he needs to stay connected with the team, because that's what players love, a coach that they connect with and build them and make them better going to the next stage of their career.
Yeah, I completely agree with you. I think the connection between the players and Rodney Terry is truly special. You don't see it a lot in basketball. They definitely, you could tell that all of them are definitely bought in. They were all bought into the tournament not last season, just recently. But yeah, he had a phenomenal tournament run, but he played with Beard's recruits and players. Mm-hmm. So I think I definitely want to see him succeed here. I love him. I think he's a great coach, but we need to see him win with his recruits, which will take about a year or two. But I think he's going to be it's going to be an interesting storyline to see how he recruits players, what kind of players he does recruit, because I think with the connection he had with the Beard recruits, I think he's going to be able to reel in a lot of recruits. I think a lot of players are going to want to play for him. So I think he's going to be able to make a lot of good future tournament runs with this team. I think he could build a dynasty. I don't know. Maybe that's the biasism in me, but who knows? All right, let's move on, though. Let's move on. So Texas knocks off Texas A&M in College Station in baseball for the first time since 2011. How about that, little brother? So how have your expectations for this team changed after its 15-game win streak?
I mean, it's completely flipped around. I mean, the last time we talked about Texas baseball on the show, we were talking about their sluggish start, their 0-3 start. Can they find a way to make it? Is this a rebounding year? And since then, they've gone on a 15-game win streak. Gordon has been thriving in his Friday night role. They've cut down the early strikeouts. They got the bats hot. They're averaging a 2.9 batting average, 35 home runs since that over this 15-game win streak, and they're averaging 7 runs a game. I mean, what I think the biggest takeaway from this team now is that they're finally coming together, filling out their positions, they're filling out their rotations, and I think if they can keep it hot, they can stay atop the Big 12, they can make a run again this year.
Yeah, I said this on Crossfire on Wednesday. The offense has just been insane this year, or at least on the 15-game winning streak. They're averaging, you said what, 7 games a hit?
7 games?
Or 7 hits. Yeah, 7 hits a game. And a lot of those games are hitting 10 hits or over. And I mean, if you're hitting more than 1 hit per inning, I mean, you're doing pretty good. They're getting a lot of people on base. The offense has been good, but of course you also need good pitching. The pitching and offense, they both work together to make a 15-game winning streak. So I think the pitching has definitely improved. They have a lot of games where they've shut out the other team. Texas A&M, only 2 runs in a very rowdy park, a very loud park for A&M. That's a really good job by the Texas pitching. So I think for me, the expectations haven't really changed a lot. I thought they were going to be still good. I knew they were going to be young and inexperienced, but I thought that they were going to do this. I thought they were going to be a good team, and I'm kind of happy for them. I'm happy for them, definitely. Let's keep it going against Oklahoma State this weekend. But anyways, let's move on again. So MLB opened its season yesterday, so we had a lot of interesting games. What stood out to you on opening day?
I got to go with the Blue Jays. They were part of an offensive masterclass with 34 hits and 19 combined runs. I mean, Tyler O'Neill, for the 4th year in a row, has had a home run in the opening game. George Springer had a 5-hit game. I mean, they had struggles in the blue pen. They gave up 9 runs to the Cardinals, and not the Cardinals. I mean, I forget they played Diamondbacks. I don't remember, but they gave up. Their bullpen struggled. I think, but this team finished with 92 wins last season. Yeah, the Cardinals. Okay, I was right. Yeah, the Cardinals. They gave it against the Cardinals. They finished with 92 wins last year. I think they can stay hot this year. I think they can make a deeper run in the College World Series.
Yeah, the Blue Jays are pretty nice, man. They've always been nice. I can't wait for. I mean, as a Rangers fan, I have a little beef with the Blue Jays, but. They've had a couple good years now. They're going to be pretty good this year, definitely. But this was a very wild opening day. I want to talk about Shohei Ohtani. Obviously, he still has it. He did really good in the World Baseball Classic, but talk about his opening day start. He had 5 or 6 innings. He only allowed 2 hits and had 10 strikeouts against the A's. And, of course, the Angels still lost because the Angels are a poverty franchise. It's only a matter of time before the Angels kind of need to trade him so they don't waste his career like Mike Trout. Maybe they should trade him to a team like, I don't know, like the Rangers. I mean, speaking of the Rangers, though, they had an amazing opening day game, 11 runs against the reigning NL champions. You had Jacob deGrom, who struggled a little bit. He couldn't even finish 5 innings, but the offense picked it up. 9 runs in the bottom of the 9th, including 2 home runs by 2 people who didn't. You don't expect them to hit a lot of home runs, Brad Miller and Robbie Grossman. So definitely the Rangers, they could be a team to watch this year. A lot of people predict them already to be like 80 wins or so. I think they could go over the 90 with the pitching that they have, the hitting that they have, and if not, they'll do it next year. It's always next year.
It's always the Dallas teams for you. Next year's their year. Next year's their year.
Other than that, I also want to shout out Adley Rutschman from the Baltimore Orioles. First overall pick a couple years ago. It was his first opening day at Fenway. You know he was nervous, and he went 5 for 5. It was the first time since 1937 that an MLB player hit 5 for 5 or better on opening day. So I want to shout him out. He's a great catcher.
ESPN stat.
Yeah, I know, right?
Why did ESPN stat right there?
But you don't get a lot of good hitting catchers in the league, so I think he could be a really good player, and he can make baseball in Baltimore fun again. So we'll see about that. But anyways, we're going to break now. But when we come back, TSTV sports analyst Ronan Bedford makes his 1-0 sports debut to judge our highlights that me and Michael cooked up. You won't want to miss it. welcome back to the 1-0 Sports Show on this Friday morning. We are joined here by our guest, Ronan Bedford, his 1-0 Sports debut. Ronan, how are you doing, man?
I'm honored. I'm privileged, and I'm so excited to be on the 1-0 Sports Show. Let's get rolling.
It's great. So we're very glad to have you here, man. The rules are simple. Me and Michael, we're just gonna show you some highlights that that we both picked over various sports, and you're just gonna deem who is the king of highlights. All right?
All right.
So let's go ahead and get started. So the first one we have is the best men's basketball play from the Sweet 16 or the Elite Eight. Michael, what do you cook up?
I got to go with Timmy Allen's halftime half-court buzzer beater against Xavier. I hope the clip pulls up here, you'll be able to see it. I know it was it was a masterclass of a game from the Horns, so it was a great way to top it off. Yeah, okay, here we go. We're just waiting for it, hopefully.
Use some descriptive language.
There we go.
Okay,
so here we go. So,
Let's
Allen
go.
banks it in. Who doesn't love a bank? Who doesn't love a bank shot? Who doesn't love a bank shot? I wish the more the clip was shown and he's pumping his chest. He gets a hug from Dylan Mitchell. It was a great play.
Yeah, man, that was all just. I had a lot of fun watching that. I'm gonna go with Marquise Noel, his no-look lob. This is probably one of the smartest basketball plays I've ever seen. Not only is it a clutch play, they're tied with less than a minute left, and his lob to Keontae Johnson is beautiful. Look at this. He acts like he's arguing with his coach to pick up a play. He lulls the Michigan State defense to sleep with this, acting like they're setting up a play, and then he throws up a lob backdoor to Keontae Johnson. It's absolutely dirty. I mean, it was amazing. I can't even as a Texas fan, I gotta respect Kansas State for it. It was probably the smartest play I've ever seen.
Oh yeah.
So
all
who
right,
do you have,
y'all.
Ronan?
Okay. Half-court shot, buzzer beater shots are always great, and they're always important. But something that comes in clutch time, something that you don't see very often. I don't know if I've ever seen a player argue with his coach to get a lob, and not to mention the replay where they have it like eye level and it's just the coach and the player and it's slow motion. The cinematography behind that, you can't fight against it. I'm gonna have to go with TJ here. I'm sorry, Michael.
It's great, man. It was like a movie. That's what I'm saying. All right, so we're going to move on to the women's side of basketball. What's the best play of March Madness so far for women's basketball, Michael?
I got to talk about Caitlin Clark, because if you talk about women's basketball, her name pops up. I mean, against Louisville, she had a 40-point triple-double, but here she hits a James Harden type step back splash. What else do you think is going to go in? It's going to get closer here. Like, James Harden, the double step back. Not the double step back. Cash.
Separation.
Cash throws up a three in the air, It's a three-point shooter.
You can tell from Caitlin Clark, man. She knows she's good. She knows. She knows she is.
She knows she can. I mean, everyone knows she can hoop.
All right, so I'm gonna go with LSU center. All right, Samaya Smith. All right, so they were playing Miami. Look at her right here. So she gets blocked by number 32 on Miami. Not good. But the very next possession, look at it. Okay, so it's not, But look at the very next possession, okay? She gets her revenge. Swats that all the way, almost to the free throw line. It was a great block, great revenge moment. Right, the possession right afterwards, too. Like, get back at you moment. So who do you have, Ronan?
There's a good narrative aspect to yours. Okay, there's a good revenge angle, but I do like Caitlin Clark and some step backs, even if that almost certainly was a travel. Almost certainly. It was still nice. I'm going to give it to Michael.
All right, that's very respectable. So we got it tied 1-1 right now, going into round 3, which is the best NBA player of the week. All right, Michael, what do you have?
I'm pulling out someone no one thought was going to happen. Grayson Allen. Dunking. Actually dunking the bullet. Look at this.
Oh, no.
Taking a huge hit. Wham.
Oh, my God.
Gets up like a champ, though. Yeah. Hype. He's like, I don't care if I just fell.
That adrenaline, man. He's never dunked like that before.
That was ribs first.
Oh, my goodness.
Ooh.
Yeah, I know that hurt. It's the adrenaline for Grayson Allen, man. He's usually used to kicking people, not dunking.
He's used to swatting them while they're mid-air.
Oh, you don't hear a lot about Grayson Allen, but he's been hooping recently. I'm not gonna lie.
Hey, he's a big part to the Bucks' success. I'm not gonna lie. But anyways, I'm gonna continue on the beatdown on the Pacers. I'm going with Luka Doncic's double clutch pass across the court. Look at this. So he gets double teamed. They're putting his arms up. Look at this. You think he's just gonna? I mean, how do you even get You have to wait till it gets a little closer. I mean, you can't even like explain how you're able to do this like as a human. It's insane. And so he double clutches it. He just throws it. It's almost a perfect pass cross court. I mean, they didn't even guard Jaden Hardy because they didn't even think that pass was going to even happen. So it's pretty crazy. It's not winning them games, but, you know, it's still pretty sick nevertheless.
Well, something that's extra insane about that pass is if you look at Luka's positioning in comparison to Hardy, Luka is further down the court. He swings his arm out. He doesn't curve the ball in air because that's not physically possible. But if someone told me that he were able to, I would believe them. I'd have to. I'm sorry. I got to go to the Luka pass.
It's fine. It's a great pass.
Yeah. I mean, he was close to hitting the rim too. It was that close. It like whiffed the net. But anyways, all right. So I'm up 2-1 now. I'm up 2-1. So worst blooper of the week, Michael. What do you have to tie it up?
We were hating on Pat Bev earlier, and we're gonna keep hating on him here.
Let's
he
go.
thought he could call the kick. Hold on, it's up here.
This is a
He
Pat
thought
Bev
he could
show.
call LeBron small. Look, he does a little little floater play here. He goes ahead up. LeBron's down the floor, I guess. Can't say that to the GOAT, but that's fine. But Austin Reeves, the very next time these two teams play, same type of shot. On top of he's down there. He's also down there. AR's always got his back. They had a conference later where they talked to LeBron about the play. LeBron talked about he always had his back, and I thought that was just a great team moment there.
He also forgave him for being a Kobe fan.
Oh yeah, for being a Kobe fan.
Yep, I remember that. That's unfortunate for Pat Bev. I'm telling you, man. He just needs to take a break, man. He keeps on taking these L's. But anyways, I'm gonna go with JT Realmuto getting ejected for nothing. I don't know. So look at this. What happens? We're gonna do a replay right here. So he puts his glove out to get the ball from the ump, but the ump kind of like doesn't give it in time. So he thinks the ump's gonna throw it back to the mound, but instead the ump drops it into like on the ground because he moved his glove, and he ejects Realmuto. This is just insane. Watch this. So and you're out. Just like that. I don't understand, man. I don't understand. That's an American hero, too. He played for the USA team on World Baseball Classic. You can't do that to him, man. That's a patriot.
Multi-sport hooper.
Refs and umpires, man. They always got to have the most ridiculous technical fouls, the most ridiculous throw-outs.
All right, this one is difficult because these are both such good answers, so I'm going to give them both their flowers real quick. The Pat Bev one, embarrassing, again, because there's a narrative he did it and then he got the revenge. But even if you look at the first clip where he does the too small, realizes that no one's looking at him, so he like maintains position and then goes lower. He's like, look, wait, now look at me. And it's like, what are you doing, dude? And then you get too small by
Austin Reeves.
Reeves. Yeah, the GOAT. And even me, not a baseball fan, knows how ridiculous these umpires can be and how egotistical they are. I think I'm going to have to go with the lower light being the umpire because you expect narcissism and egotism out of Pat Bev. And umpire, like they are officiating a sport, and if you eject somebody, that can greatly impact the game over nothing, over them. He literally cannot see you. He cannot see you. He cannot Spidey sense his way into an embarrassing you. It was an accident.
Yeah, that's tough, man. That's tough. Anyways, we got the last one. Best MLB opening day play. Michael, what do you have?
I got Adley Rutschman in his only his second opening day game, first inning homer. I mean, it was against the Red Sox. I have a roommate that loves the Red Sox. I loved showing him this clip. He hated it. It was so great. He just binks it. Oh my goodness. Adley Rutschman, I mean, hey man, he's making a name for himself. That's all I'm going to say right now.
He definitely is. I mean, I love the swing of left-handed batters. It just makes it's so beautiful.
It's
so
like a lefty
satisfying when they could just hit it 400 feet to right field. It's amazing.
It's like a lefty shooting a jumper.
That's true. It's like left-handed shooting in basketball. The softballs just got it, man. Anyways, I'm going with breaking news, man. Texas Rangers Bubba Thompson is wanted by Arlington PD for highway robbery of a Philadelphia Phillies home run. We got to watch this right here. So look at this. Top of the 8th, Rangers up 11-7. This ball's looking like it's getting out of here. And then Bubba Thompson just goes over the fence to catch it. Saves the run. Look at the pitcher. So thankful. Jonathan Hernandez. And the baseball just clapping. Just clapping. Not anything too rowdy. Come on.
I mean, what else can you do after seeing a play like that other than clap?
I mean, it's a great play. You got to be a world-class athlete to make that play, to be able to project where the ball is going to land and to hold on to the ball while your arm is crashing onto the top of the fence. It's an amazing play. Who do you have, Ronan,
This
winning?
might be me being a bit of a homer, but again, I'm going to have to go with the Texas team, which I realize for like the last 2 plays, or 2 out of the last 3 categories I chose, it was not intentional.
I'm not doing any better.
I
I'm the
just
one who
think
picked
that
them.
it's on purpose, okay? I just think that Texas catch was incredibly impressive.
Yeah, I appreciate it, man.
I got whooped this time.
Hey,
it wasn't a win for me.
We'll probably host another one before the semester ends. You
Hopefully
can get your payback.
Hopefully I can
Maybe.
get it back.
Maybe. I'm just the king of highlights today. So, Ronan, thank you so much for coming on. We really appreciate you. But he's not going anywhere. He's going to be back later onto the show. But what we're going to do for next block, we're going to talk about March Madness Final Four for the men's and women's because, of course, it's this weekend. You won't want to miss it.
Great block, guys.
Let's go.
So, yeah, why don't you just scoot out? I'll take it.
Welcome back to the 1-0 Sports Show. As we all know, the Final Four for men's and women's are both starting this weekend. We have the women's Final Four starting tonight with Virginia Tech playing LSU and South Carolina playing Iowa. So, Michael, there's been nothing short of a lot of surprises this year, especially in the men's bracket. We talk about a lot of upsets. What's been the biggest surprise for you for the men's bracket so far?
I got to go with the Miami Hurricanes. I mean, a lot of people want to say FAU, but I mean, Miami's gone through a 1 seed. The 2-seeded Texas Longhorns, that's always a tough one to look at.
Yeah.
And then also the another 4 seed. I mean, what I think has surprised me the most about the team, though, is how consistent they've played with their ISO ball. They're a big Isaiah Wong. You have Pat, you have Wong, you have Pack, and you have Amir. They're Wong and Pack. I mean, they're the 2 ISO guard. I mean, at the end of the UT game, you saw a lot of the time they were just going to the basket. They were going to get. They were tough shot makers. It was. I mean, it's impressive how they've played so consistently, knowing that if you're living off an ISO ball, eventually it will die.
Mm-hmm.
But it hasn't died yet, and hopefully, in their case, it doesn't die to the end of the tournament. So
Yeah,
they've been my biggest surprise.
When you're that good of a one-on-one scorer, I mean, might as well just keep going ISO. They could score at will. So I'm going to go with a disappointment, actually, instead of a surprise. I'm going with Texas A&M, man. Texas A&M, what happened? 7th seed in the tournament. I was really hyped for a Texas A&M matchup in the second round. I thought that was for sure a possibility. Texas A&M, they were the biggest surprise during the regular season, ending up second in the SEC. They went 15-3, good enough in second, even hosting wins against Arkansas and Alabama. I even thought they were really low as a 7th seed initially. I thought they would have been much higher, but they proved me wrong in the worst way in the round of 64 against Penn State. Penn State made it a 3-point shooting game, and A&M is just not good at 3-point shooting. That's not their strong suit, and Penn State absolutely dominated them in that factor. They also exposed A&M for their perimeter defense. And, I mean, come on, man. I expected more from you Aggies. I wanted a Texas A&M basketball matchup in the second round. Fortunately, A&M disappointed us
I mean,
all.
I think what they were trying to do is they were scared.
They
They didn't want to play UT because they're tired of older brother whooping them. So they thought if they cop out this round, and they cop out this round, they won't have to play us. That's my guess. But
That's tough.
That's all I got to say.
Yeah, it's a bummer. It's a bummer. They got to play them eventually in basketball. So I mean, they will in a couple years. SEC, man, come on. But anyways, what's the biggest surprise for you in the women's bracket this year?
Even though they're a 1 seed, I got to say Virginia Tech, just because this is the first time they've reached the Final Four in the history of their program. I mean, they have Kitley. She has been a dominant force in the paint. She has double-digit boards in all 4 of the tournament games. She has been the reason they're so successful. And then you also have Amore, who's been the leading scorer for 3 of the 4 games. I mean, what I think this team does so well together is they move the ball so well. They find their open shooters, and then they also dominate inside the paint. That's where they want to attack. I mean, I know if they go against an LSU or they go against South Carolina, they're going to meet the best big men in women's basketball. But I think if they continue their teamwork, I mean, it's a team game, and I think that's what pushes them over the edge.
Yeah, I mean, they have a really good 1-2 duo of hitting threes and also being really good inside the paint. So they have a really good opponent in offense. I'm going to go with another disappointment on the women's side. This time, it's the big brother. Texas, what happened, man? You had a game at Moody in front of your home crowd against Louisville. Granted, Louisville's a great team, but, you know, Texas had this, man. I was convinced that Texas was going to go really far in this tournament. They dominated the Big 12. They tied with Oklahoma in conference standings, but they dominated against Oklahoma in both of their games. I thought they were going to be really good. They proved that they could keep up with the best, but they completely lost their game against Louisville. They looked really tired. Shaylee Gonzalez only dropped 6 points, and even Taylor Jones, who's a good veteran off the bench usually brings us a surge of scoring. She only scored 6 points. It's just extremely disappointing, but hopefully they can come back next year and redeem themselves. Maybe not at the Moody Center, but somewhere else. But anyways, I mean, it's tough. It's tough. But what's a storyline that you're most intrigued for the men's side of March Madness so far?
People want to talk about the underdogs. They want to talk about the teams that you didn't expect to be there. But I know some man is going to love this in the back. I got to go with UConn having a 90-point differential between their opponents. I mean, they haven't had a close game this entire tournament. The shortest margin to win, or the lowest margin of win, is 15. That's unheard of. In March Madness, I mean, I actually haven't had the chance to watch. I watched, I think, I was going to turn on the second half of this UConn-Gonzaga game, and I saw they went up by like 30 points. I was like, you know what, I don't even need to watch this. They're obviously the most team I'm excited to see what they can do. I mean, they're kind of a blue blood. They have 4 national championships. Yeah. They're pushing there. I just want to see if they can keep up this hot streak and just if they can dominate their way through. I mean, it would just be like a Baylor run back in 2021.
That's true. I mean, hey, they're basically blue blood. I'm going with the opposite. I'm going with the mid-major teams as the best storyline, man. I love seeing the mid-major teams succeed. You got San Diego State and FAU both in the Final Four, both in the Final Four. I think this is a great thing for sports, not only basketball. And also, this is a fun fact. FAU had a 301 odds of winning the national championship before the tournament started. Since seeding began in 1979, only one men's national champion has had a pre-tourney tournament odds longer than 35-1, which was UConn in 2014, and they were 95-1. So FAU, if they win the championship, they're going to blow the odd record by a bunch. So I really like that. Shout out Conference USA. Go Mean Green. They won the NIT final last night.
I think FAU would be the highest seeded to ever win. I think the highest we've had so far is 7.
I think it was 7.
I know UConn won a 7 in 2014. That's all.
I mean, it could be history, and out of all of them, it's going to be a mid-major team. I really hope that happens. I mean, I was on College Crossfire saying that FAU was going to win on Wednesday, so I'm sticking with it. I think it's going to be a great storyline.
It's a good call.
I appreciate it, man. So, what's been the most intriguing storyline to you for the women's Final Four?
I think what I want to see mostly is an LSU South Carolina matchup in the tournament. As much as everyone loves Caitlin Clark and loves watching basically the Steph Curry women's basketball play, I think if LSU, I mean, they played South Carolina early in the year and they lost by 20. I watched the game actually because it was before the Super Bowl, so I was like, I got to watch something before the Super Bowl turns on, and it was just I think the way they played so well, I think they want their revenge. I think they're a team that can do it. I mean, Angel Reese, we're going to talk about it later in the show. She is a dominant force in the paint. She is the whole reason this team's really successful. I think if those two go against each other, it's hard to say they'll edge South Carolina, but I think a lot of people would love to see it.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think it's gonna be. It could be another. Never forget about the 2014 Kentucky Wildcats, who went like what 38-1, 39-1, something like that, and they lost their final game. So, anyways, I'm gonna go with my biggest storyline. I'm going with Caitlin Clark actually winning. I think that's gonna be a great storyline. This is a phenomenal talent. We've never seen something like this in women's basketball. It's crazy to see her play. She's really good, and she knows she's good. I talked about this beforehand. She knows she's good. She's hitting step backs. She's penetrating. She's getting her teammates open. She has everything that you want in an offensive player. It's amazing. She has Luka Doncic type stats. I mean, she's going out and averaging 27 points, 8 rebounds, 9 assists. I mean, it's great thing. It's great basketball, and it would be awesome to watch her just beat South Carolina, beat the undefeated team, and then go on to win the national championship, and then get drafted #1 to the Dallas Wings. Anyway, so that last part might be reaching a little too much, but you know it would be great to see her win the national championship.
Hometown hero. She can become a hometown hero.
Hey, hometown hero, yeah. So, anyways, we're gonna move on, and we're gonna go and rank the top 4 players in both the men's and women's brackets, and the final 4 left, or from the final 4 teams left. So, what are your top 4 teams in the women's final 4?
I think for the women's, it's obvious the best player that there is. It's Caitlin Clark. We've talked about her multiple times on the show. She's averaging 27, 7, and 9. That's unheard of in college basketball, and that's honestly unheard of in the WNBA. I mean, it's pretty.
Yep.
It's very impressive. She's been the leading scorer of each tournament game and hasn't scored under 20 points in those games. She is the factor. She is the reason this team's so successful. And like how you said the storyline, you want to see that she's the biggest reason behind that. And the second person we also talked about it earlier is Angel Reese out of LSU. She's a leading rebounder. She averages 23 and 15. That's a double-double machine right there. I mean, she's a monster in the paint. She's had a 24 and 25 game. I think Michigan in the second round this year, and I think she's been dominant to watch. I think she would be the factor in them winning it all this year. And then we got to go to Aliyah Boston. Even though she's not the biggest player on the team, she doesn't average the most points. She's the biggest factor because like when I talked about earlier in the year when LSU and South Carolina played, she was the reason they won just because Angel Reese had to guard, what's her name, Aliyah? Aliyah, I can't remember her last name, but she is the other biggest player on the team, and that gave her the biggest chance to just go for 40 that game. I mean, it was impressive to see. It was great teamwork. I mean, she's the most unguardable I think I've seen just because her size. She's stocky, she's big, she can move. I think that's the biggest thing. And then finally, I want to end it with Elizabeth Kitley out of Virginia Tech. I mean, she's also a double-double machine. She's averaged 24 and 6. Not 24 and 6, 24 and 11.
Yeah.
And it's been, I mean, I think that's the biggest 4 players I think I see coming out of the tournament.
Yeah, definitely a star-studded lineup right there for all 4. I'm going to agree with you for the top 2 players, Caitlin Clark at -- and Angel Reese at #2. Both of them are phenomenal talents. Both of them, Angel Reese averaging 25, Caitlin Clark averaging 27, both points. They're both really good. They're both the leaders of their teams, and both of the teams are really successful. They're both going up against #1 seeds tonight, so we'll see how that goes. But for me, I'm going to go #3. I'm going to go Elizabeth Kitley, who you had at #4. She's the big man at Virginia Tech. She's a big reason to why this team is here in the first place. She sits at 18 points per game and 11 rebounds a game.
Okay.
But it's both top on her team. She also has 2.3 blocks a game. So not only she's also great on defense, she's great on offense. So I mean, great rim protector. So I'm gonna put her at #3. #4, I'm gonna go with Georgia Moore on Virginia Tech. I should have gone with Boston. I'm not gonna lie, but Georgia Moore, I'm going with her because she averages 16 points a game for the Virginia Tech team, and she's also been the leading scorer for a lot of the games in this tournament. She's averaging 3.3 threes per game in the regular season, which was tied for second in women's basketball. So not only is she making a lot of points for Virginia Tech, she's down in the threes, just taking the team away from the other team. Carrying the momentum. So, anyways, that's going to be my top 4 teams for the men's final 4. Who do you have?
The first person I want to say is Adama Sanago, I think, out of UConn.
Yep.
I mean, he's been a big factor in their 90-point differential this year. It's been crazy to watch. I mean, he leads the team in points and rebounds. He dominates the paint. He's very sneaky athletic. I think what I see if I'm coaching, I'm gonna put my coaching out there. I mean, if they can run a pick and roll with him, I think that might be unstoppable. I mean, he's been because when they played Gonzaga, they killed him behind the arc. I think they shot 56, 57% from 3. It was incredible. But I think if they're going to focus on 3-point shooters, going to open that game up even more, open the shooters more. I think that'd be a big thing for them to succeed. And then next I go with Isaiah Wong out of Miami. He was the leading scorer throughout the year. He's been the leading scorer for the last 2 games. I mean, what he's been so dominant with is his ISO ball, like I mentioned earlier. And I think if they keep that strong, they can keep going. And I want to move on to John L. Davis out of FAU. He's been the leading scorer, leading rebounder. Again, that's been kind of the kind of the thing here. I mean, those are the best. I mean, when you lead the team in offense and you lead the team on the boards and points, I got to look at you as the best player on the team. And finally, I want to end it with Lamont Butler. He's been out of San Diego State. He's been a guard who averages the most steals in the country this year. San Diego State's the best remaining defense in the league, right, in the Final Four. And I think that's the whole reason they've been so successful is they anchor the defense. If he can anchor the defense, I think they have a chance to win it all this year too.
Yeah, I think that's interesting. I think, it's definitely guard heavy for the Final Four left. A lot of guards really doing good. But Adama Sanogo, definitely the best player still left. 17 points a game, 7 rebounds. He's amazing. I'm going to go with Jordan Miller at number 2, though. He went 9 for 9 against Texas, or 7 for 7, and 13 for 13 from the line against Texas. He can score at will whenever he wants to. He's a great 3-point shooter, great penetrator on offense. And also you have number 3, I'm going to go with Jordan Hawkins on UConn. The 1-2 duo of Jordan Hawkins and Adama Sanogo is almost unstoppable. They're one of the best 1-2 punch duos in college basketball. He averages about 16 points per game. And at number 4, I'm going to go with Isaiah Wong. Like you said, he's an amazing scorer. He can get anywhere. Just like Jordan Miller, these guards on Miami just can score at will, and it's fun to watch unless your team is playing against them, unfortunately, which is what our team did. So, but definitely good list from both of us, definitely. And we're gonna go to break. We're a little tired. We gotta get some water. We've been talking a lot. But when we come back, we're gonna have a very special guest. We're gonna have JT Rowan from the Daily Texan talk about baseball with us and the recent winning streak. You won't want to miss it. Coming up on the 1-0 Sports Show.
Great luck.
Thank you.
All right.
Welcome back to the 1-0 Sports Show. We have a very special guest with us right here, Daily Texans baseball reporter JT Rowan. How are you doing this Friday morning, man?
I'm doing well. How are y'all?
Doing pretty good. Doing good. Friday morning, man. Ready to get the weekend going. So, anyways, let's talk a little bit about baseball.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're doing pretty good there over at the Texan with them.
Thank you.
15-game winning streak, just pretty good.
Pretty good.
The recent game that they've had, though, is a game against Texas A&M. They won 5-2 on Tuesday night. What went right for the team on Tuesday against A&M?
I thought it was a pretty, earlier in the season when they were going through it, 3-6, I thought, the pitching was there for the most part, and they weren't really hitting it too well. And I thought what happened the other night was sort of the same, where it was the pitching was good and the hitting wasn't great, and they were still able to pull out a win. And I think you can point to, the biggest hitters on the team stepping up. Porter Brown, who's been doing his thing all season, was able to punch in 3 RBIs. Peyton Powell and Eric Kennedy both scored on runs, I believe. And, the Longhorns left 15 batters on base as opposed to the Aggies 7, and were still able to pull out a win somewhat comfortably. So I think, you look at the bullpen doing a really good job. Lucas Gordon steps in for a 7th inning, his first appearance, not in a start, and he was lights out for an inning. Zane Morehouse, who's really becoming a critical closer for this team, threw 2 innings and back-to-back strikeouts in the 9th to bury it. And yeah, I think it was a really good win, when the hitting and especially the scoring of runs wasn't all there for them.
All right, and then what do you think have been some keys behind Texas' recent success, especially for the 15-game turnaround?
Yeah, like I said, I think the pitching is really the strength of this team, and I think it's been, pretty excellent for most of the year, and especially in this win streak. But I think the hitting has been, like I said, they've really turned it around on that front. Eric Kennedy, Peyton Powell have been terrific in their at-bats, and then, like I said, Lucas Gordon has emerged as a true ace for this team. You're seeing steps from LeBaron Johnson and Charlie Hurley as, filling out the starting lineup with the pitchers. And then you're seeing guys like Ace Whitehead, Zane Morehouse stepping into roles out of the bullpen and really settling in there. And, Texas is leading the Big 12 right now in team ERA, and they have the lowest opposing batting average in the Big 12. So I think, they're beginning to catch up in the hitting department when the pitching's been there all year.
Yeah, I think that, like I said, the offense on the 15-game winning streak has just been really good earlier on the show. So there was a lot of speculation and questions about who's going to step up, because the Longhorns lost a lot of players in the MLB draft last year. But who, to you, has really stood out this year or in the recent weeks?
I think the 2 guys that jump off the page are Peyton Powell and Eric Kennedy. Peyton Powell is just crushing it. He's hitting 418. He's been moving around in the outfield, but, wherever they put him, he's going to be slugging really hard. And I think Eric Kennedy, the center fielder, has also been turning in a really good year. He's a redshirt senior, and he's hitting .374. He's hit 7 homers on the year. I think the duo of those 2 at the top of the batting lineup has really, worked for the Longhorns in this win streak. On the pitching front, I think Charlie Hurley has been a really positive and encouraging sign coming over from USC. He threw two pitched there for 2 years, both with an ERA above 4, and this year he's really stepped up as I would say the Longhorns' second best pitcher with a 1.86 ERA, 2-0 at the starts, and two saves on the year. He's been really encouraging behind Lucas Gordon as your Saturday night pitcher in a lot of weeks.
All right, and speaking on the talking about the recent success players, which player are you still looking a bit more from the season down the stretch?
Yeah, I think in the outfield, I would say Dylan Campbell is the one guy that jumps off the page. He was one of the holdovers from last year. He started a lot of games for the Longhorns last year, and I think you were hoping to see him hit it a little bit better. He hit .267 for the year last year, and he's sitting at .266 this year. So I think you were hoping for a bigger step from him from the plate. I think he's done a fine job at right field, and he has 5 home runs for the year, but I think it would be really encouraging for the Longhorns to get more out of him in his at-bats. And I think on the pitching side, I think Travis Staley has been a guy that you would like to see a little bit more from on the mound. He has a 4.55 ERA on the year. He's allowing just under a hit per inning, and I think he's one of the weaker spots in the pitching rotation right now. And I think we could, if it keeps up, maybe see him slipping from the weekend rotation. Coach Pierce has shown a willingness to mix things up there. So those are the 2 guys I would say we'd like to see a little bit more from.
Well, both of them are going to have a chance to redeem themselves a little bit this weekend against Oklahoma State. They travel to Stillwater to take on number 17 Oklahoma State. What are the keys to victory against a really good Cowboys team?
Yeah, I think what has kind of been the thorn in their side, up until this win streak has been the hitting. So I think finding their hitting groove early on the road is super critical there. You look at the Cal Fullerton series where they didn't go above 5 runs in any of the 3 games and ultimately lost the series. And I think, just to win games, you got to hit really well against a really good team. So I think being able to find the groove of the plate early on. And I think you want to see valuable contributions from the bullpen. I think, you know what to expect from Lucas Gordon at this point. You know what to expect from Charlie Hurley. LeBaron Johnson, you'll get some ups and you'll get some downs there. But I think you want to see guys like Ace Whitehead, David Shaw, Heston Toll, DJ Burke, hoping to step up in those moments, in the middle innings and try and, keep the Pokes from scoring runs in there. And I think it's also, not to be the wet blanket, but I think it is maybe some Longhorns fans should prepare for the win streak to come to an end. I wouldn't count it super likely that they go 3-0 on the road against a really solid top 20 team in the OSU Pokes. But it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. I think we'll also see, we should see at least, Coach Pierce sort of nailing down who's going to, I think the pitching rotation, but also who we're going to see as at the bottom of the batting lineup. He's kind of messed around with, Rylan Galvan, Jalen Flores, Tanner Carlson, Jaden Duplantier as sort of the DHs, and I guess you're going to want to see some clarity in the long term there. So it should be interesting to see how that shakes out.
All right, and then besides this big matchup this weekend, what series or matchup are you still looking forward to Texas to face the remainder of the season?
I would say OU comes to mind, if only just because of the rivalry there, and I feel like they always give us a tough test. And then I think West Virginia in their final series of the year should be a really interesting one. I think they're a pretty solid team, and both critical Big 12 matchups. So I think those are the two that jump off to me.
West Virginia. You never hear that about people circling their calendars for a West Virginia game, but here we are. They do have a pretty good baseball team. So following the team's 15-game win streak that they're on right now and their entry into the rankings, what is the ceiling for this team this year? Do you think that they can go to the College World Series again this year? Do you think they could go further in it, or what are you thinking right now?
It's really hard to say. You look at this team and they started off 3-6, and now they're, I want to say 15-7, or no, better 19. Than that, 19-7.
Yep.
And I think they've totally, changed as a team since then. So it's really hard to say. And in those first week or two, they squared off against, I would say, 3 of the top 5 teams in the country. Losing to Arkansas, Vandy, and LSU. But I think if you play those games again, you might see a different outcome there. I think this OSU matchup will be a really big litmus test to see, where this team, falls into the Big 12 picture and how they can fare on the road against a really stout opponent. But I don't think it's a far cry to say that this is a team with real, College World Series aspirations. I think the Tanner Witt return in April will have some really will have a lot of bearing on how far this team can go. He's a guy with real MLB potential. Might have been a first rounder if not for the Tommy John. If he can come back and be, even 75% of himself and, help fill out this starting pitching lineup, I think this is a team that could be really scary, in the summertime.
Yeah, Texas baseball. You can catch them on tonight at ESPN Plus against Oklahoma State starting at 6 o'clock. Thank you so much, JT, for joining us. It was a pleasure talking to you about baseball. When we come back, Ronan Bedford's going to rejoin us for our weekly pick'ems against certain sports and various sports. You won't want to miss it. Coming up on the 1-0 Sports Show. Welcome back to the 1-0 Sports Show. Ronan, you rejoin us again.
That I have.
He's joining us again for our weekly pick'em. We have a lot of great games this weekend. The NBA's rounding up their season, and of course, the Final Four for men's and women's basketball. Let's get right into it. So we got our first game. We're starting with the NBA. We got the Lakers at the Timberwolves at 7 o'clock tonight on NBA TV. Michael, who do you have?
I gotta go with the healthy new look Lake Show. They've been. After a bad start against Chicago, they bounced back with LeBron playing more minutes. I think I gotta go with the Lakers.
No surprise there. Ronan, who do you have?
I'm also going to go with the Lakers. Honestly, I want them to win. I like them more than the Timberwolves. And Cat had a couple of good performances since he returned, but it's time for him to be fraud checked again.
Yep, I'm going with the Lakers. We're completing the sweep for the first one. I think LeBron's back. The team's hitting their stride. They're getting healthier, just like Michael said. Cat, he's back, but I don't think it's enough. The Timberwolves are always a bad team late April, or in the April region. So, anyways, let's go Lakers 3-0, all of us right there. So we're going number 2 right here. We got the Nuggets and Suns starting at 9:30 tonight, late game on NBA TV. Michael, who do you have?
I got to go with the Suns. KD's back. KD's healthy. This is the team we all expected to play, a dominant, kind of a reminder of the 2017-2018 Warriors. I think the Suns pulled it off.
All right. 2018 Warriors might be a little bit of a stretch. I'm not going to lie. But it is a really good team. Ronan, who do you
I
have?
don't think that we're going to be seeing dynasty Warriors out of this team, but I also, I'm going to have to disagree and go with the Nuggets. As good as KD is, there is such a thing as chemistry that needs to get built. He's had only a handful of games with the Suns, and Nuggets, they are the best team in the West right now with the 2-time, potentially 3-time MVP on the team. So that's who I'm picking.
I'm going to go with the Nuggets, too. It's one game out of 82. You can't win them all, Phoenix Suns. The Nuggets went on a 4-game winning streak before losing last night. I think they're resting up for tonight because they got blown out by the Pelicans at home. That's not usual for the Nuggets. I think they're saving up for tonight. They're going to punch it to the Suns, and they're going to beat the Suns. So that's who I'm going to go with. Let's go with number 3. We got the MLB for this one. So we got the Guardians at the Mariners tonight at 9 o'clock. MLB Network. Ronan, who do you have?
I'm going to go with the Mariners. I was doing some research before the show, and I looked at a betting website, and they are the favorites, or at least I think they were. I don't gamble myself, so I don't really know how money lines work,
Are they
but
negative?
that's what I'm going for. Yes, they were in the negative.
Yeah, there you go. Michael, who do you have?
I'm going to flip that, and I'm going to go with the Guardians. I think they're more impressive in their opening day game. I got to go against. I never trust every time I bet and try to do against the positive, it's always gone negative. So, got to go with the Mariners there.
I agree with every word you said right there. I'm going with the Guardians as well. We got Hunter Gaddis starting for the Guardians. Sorry, he's going to be fired up. He's got to prove his spot in the rotation. This is his first time starting in the rotation this season for them. And also, the Mariners, they're a good team. You can't win them all. It's 162 games. You're going to lose a couple. So I'm going the Guardians. Anyway, so we got number 4. So this one's not really a game, but games. We have how many games does Texas baseball take out of its series against Oklahoma State this weekend? Ronan, why don't you start out?
All right, I'm going to be honest with y'all. I don't know. But I looked at the sheet, and just to give a bit of a preview, I want to increase the odds that one of us is correct. So I'm going to go with 1.
That's good.
That's my answer.
That's your explanation. That's all right.
fair.
Michael, what do you have?
I'm taking a hot take. I'm saying they sweep the series. I said they take them all. Hot take there. This is a very impressive Cowboys team. I think I might be digging my own grave on that, but they are on a 15-game win streak. They are hot. The bats are hot. I think they can keep it going.
Confidence can get you killed, man.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going with 2. I'm being a little bit more realistic. I'm going win the series, don't sweep. They're a good team. Oklahoma State's really good, too. So we got to watch out. I think Oklahoma State's got to win at least one in front of their home crowd. I don't want to see the winning streak go, but tough truth, it happens. You can't win forever. So we got all the answers there. That was pretty fun. 1, 2, and 3. Nobody gets 0, though. Hey, nobody thought Oklahoma State was going to sweep them. Number 5, we're going to go with the women's Final Four starting tonight. We have LSU, the 3-seeded LSU, playing number 1-seeded Virginia Tech at 6 o'clock on ESPN. I'll start off with this one this time. I'm going LSU. I think Angel Reese has a dominant game. She's not really she has played great in the tournament, but in the past 2 games, she hasn't even been the leading scorer for LSU. If she becomes the leading scorer tonight, I mean, Virginia Tech, I don't know how much of a chance that they have if she's on and she's scoring a lot, just like her other teammates have recently. What do you have, Michael?
I have to agree with everything you just said. I had Angel Reese, the second best player in the tourney left. I think LSU is more battle tested. I think they're stronger. I think they had better opponents they faced this year. Virginia Tech's having not a miracle run. They were the 1 seed, but the first time they've done this, I got to go with LSU.
All right, and who do you have?
I'm going to have to disagree. I looked up some stats before the show. I saw that Virginia Tech center is averaging a double-double. And you know what? It's a good vibes team. You can't choose against good vibes. So I'm going with the vibes, and I'm going with Virginia Tech.
All right. Couldn't complete the sweep there. Who's going to tell them that LSU center's also averaging a double? All right, we're going number 6. No, the 6th game. We have number 2 seeded Iowa versus number 1 seed South Carolina starting at 8:30 ESPN following LSU and Virginia Tech. Who do you have winning, Ronan?
I'm going with Iowa. 2 words. Caitlin, 3-point shots. Okay, they're going to be able to capitalize on that, and they're going to win. And I'm going with Iowa.
That's good. Hey, you got to pick the upset. I love the upset pick. I want to pick Iowa. I'm going to have to go South Carolina, though. I had them winning on Crossfire Wednesday. I'm going to stick to my word again. Hey, South Carolina, they're the Alabama of women's basketball. You can't stop them right now. They got a lot of offense. They got a lot of defense. And they've won every game in the tournament by over 10 points. I'm going South Carolina. Who do you have, Michael?
I'm going to have to agree with South Carolina, though I don't think they're Alabama. I think they're Georgia. UConn's the Alabama. I got to go with that. Georgia. Either way, 2 great teams. Doesn't matter. We're going to move on from that. But South Carolina, they're undefeated at this point. I think Caitlin Clark, she's had a great season. She's a great player, but I don't think she can we've seen LeBron can't single-handedly beat the Warriors. I don't think she can single-handedly beat South Carolina.
That's true. So we got South Carolina winning this right here. So let's move to the men's basketball Final Four. We have number 9 seeded Florida Atlantic playing number 5 seed San Diego State at 5:09 on CBS tomorrow. Who do you have, Ronan?
All right. I'm going with Florida Atlantic for an actual reason this time, okay? San Diego, though it has probably the best defense of the remaining teams, isn't great at scoring, and FAU has a really high scoring efficiency. At the end of the day, as important as defense is, though it doesn't win championships, that's rapid fire, FAU still can outscore what San Diego can stop.
Good points. What do you have, Michael?
Well, this is not Crossfire. This is not Wednesday. Defense does win championships. I gotta go with San Diego State. They have their defense has carried them this far. Yes, they struggle to score at times, but I do think they can get it going because their defense will keep them in the game. I think San Diego State will push on top.
It makes perfect sense to go San Diego State. Makes perfect sense. All the stats are pointing to San Diego, but nothing has made sense this tournament. So I'm going FAU. I'm agreeing with you, Ronan. I agree with everything that he said. The offensive efficiency for FAU is great. Both teams are really good defensively. San Diego State might be a little bit better defensively, but I like FAU offensively. Better 3-point shooting team, better transition team. Let's go with FAU. Let's move on, though. We'll go and pick our the next game of the Final Four. We got number 5 seed Miami, Florida versus number 4 seed UConn at 7:49 CBS on Saturday. Michael, you go ahead and start us off this time.
It's not that I'm biased against Miami because they beat the Longhorns. I do think their ISO ball will run out this thing, and I think UConn, who is at a dominant run, as we talked about earlier in the show, will carry over. I don't think they win by as much as they've been winning, but I do think they pull out on top.
All right, and what do you have, Rowan?
I will tell you, I am biased. I'm going for Miami. Yes, they did beat the Longhorns, but if they win the entire championship, then we didn't really lose in the Elite Eight. We could still technically say we're the second best team because we lost to the champions. So I'm going for the least embarrassing thing for the Longhorns, which is a Miami win.
Looking out for your team, man. I like that. I'm not. I'm going UConn too. I think, like I said earlier, Sanogo and Hawkins are a dangerous 1-2 punch. They have the better offense. Miami, of course, they show that they can have really good offense. But I think UConn, they've blown out every single team so far this year. They have a lot of this bracket. They have a lot of momentum, and I think that gets the Huskies into the finals. Moving on, though, we got our next game. Well, not next game, but who wins the national who wins the women's national championship on Sunday? Ronan, who do you have?
Realize I wrote down an incorrect answer, an inconsistent answer. So I'm gonna revert, and I'm gonna go to Iowa because Caitlin Clark is good, and I occasionally see her highlights on ESPN. So I'm gonna go with that. Go Iowa.
Yeah, man. You're gonna pick South Carolina, man. But
I saw that too. I was like, okay.
You were gonna pick South Carolina, but you had Iowa beating South Carolina earlier this block. I don't know what's going on.
Listen. I'm asked for my takes, not for my consistency. Okay.
I'm gonna go with South Carolina. No surprise here. Again, undefeated. I have LSU beating Virginia Tech as I did earlier, and again LSU South Carolina beat LSU by 24 points in the regular season. Don't have much faith. I'm going South Carolina. Michael, who do you have?
I will have to complete the sweep here. I think South Carolina. I mean, this is the first time I've ever seen a team favored to win. They were in the negative. They were in bed. They weren't in the positive. They were in the negative. I think it's the first time I've ever seen that ever. So I mean, it might be a curse to them. They might pull the 2015 Kentucky Wildcats, but I think South Carolina pulls it off.
All right, so we got South Carolina winning that round. We're going to switch over to the men's side. Who's going to win the men's national championship? This is going to be some interesting answers, I bet. We're going to start off with you, Michael.
I got to go with UConn. I think they're the best remaining team. They have the most upside. They've won every game by 15-plus points. They have the biggest margin differential. They think they've had the tough. I mean, I can't say they have the toughest test coming in. I got to give that to Miami, but I got to go UConn. I think they continue their sled of dominance.
Definitely UConn dominating this whole tournament. But I have to go with FAU. I'm sticking with my word on Crossfire. I don't know if I knew the panelists and Jordan were making fun of me for picking FAU. They only gave me 1 point, and I still won. But I don't know if y'all were making fun of me back in the control room or not.
Robin Master Control was making fun of you.
I'm sticking with my word, man. I mean, why not? I'd love to see the mid-major team win. Again, I said this again on Crossfire. I have UConn playing them in the finals, and UConn having the 90-plus point differential. You're talking about the inexperience of close games in the tournament this year, while FAU has had it game in and game out. They've had close games, and they've been sneaking by it every single time. And I don't think that UConn is going to go throughout this whole tournament blowing everybody out. They're going to have a close game, and I think that happens in the finals against FAU, and they're not going to be prepared for it. And FAU's going to win it, and Conference USA is going to be the king of conferences this year. That's who I have winning. Ronan?
Yeah, respectfully to each of you gentlemen, the Hurricanes are going to blow away the competition and make this loss for Texas look less embarrassing. I'm going with the Canes, baby. Let's go.
Hey, we got all different answers. I told you that was going to be some interesting answers for that last one. There's a lot of parity in the men's national bracket this year. But thank you so much, Ronan, for joining us again. It was a pleasure. That was a lot of fun.
The pleasure was all mine.
All right. You're pushing it a little too much. Come on, man. But anyways, that's going to be it for us today. Michael, thank you very much for hosting with us again. With me again. We got to do this again another time.
I do agree.
We had a great time today. That's it for us this morning. But make sure to tune in for us next week at 10 p.m. and be sure to check out our sister shows. We got College Press Box on Monday nights at 9:30 p.m. and College Crossfire hosted by Tommy Yarsh on Wednesday nights at 9 o'clock. Tune in next week. You're going to see me go 2-0 in College Crossfire. But anyways, again, that's going to be it. You guys have a great day from us, from the 1-0 Sports Show.
Texas finally 1-0, finally riding for the brand.
Great
Played
show.
the intro.
Great outro, except that we do it at 10 a.m. Not
Yeah.